So this is a conversation between Maitreya Rishi and Vidura. Vidura is inquiring from Maitreya, and Maitreya is speaking, replying to his questions. So after Maitreya finished narrating one pastime of the Lord, the appearance of Lord Varaha. The Lord performs extraordinary pastimes. He appeared in the form of a boar. And that was described by Maitreya. So Vidura, who is hearing these topics from Maitreya, he is making further inquiries. So he is asking Maitreya, Vidura is asking Maitreya, that I have heard by disciplic succession that Hiranyaksha, the original demon, was killed by the same form of sacrifices, that is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in his form as Lord Varaha. So, Vidura's question is, what was the reason for the fight between the demon king Hiranyaksha and Lord Boar, while the Lord was lifting the earth as his pastime? So what is the reason for the fight? And he's further telling, Vidura is further telling Maitreya, my mind has become very inquisitive and I am not satisfied with hearing the narration of the Lord's appearance. Elsewhere it is already told by Prabhupada in the first canto that Vidura went on making inquiries till he was fully satisfied and convinced that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he is the only goal of everyone's life. Till then he kept on making inquiries. And once he was convinced, he stopped making inquiries. So here, after Maitreya has described the appearance of Lord Varaha, Vidura is inquiring further and he's telling, my mind is very inquisitive and I'm not satisfied with hearing just about the appearance. I want to hear more. Please therefore speak more and more to a devotee who is faithful. So inquisitiveness to hear and being faithful in hearing, two qualifications of the hearer. So we are also practicing bhakti yoga. So we should also be inquisitive to hear more and more and more and more about Krishna. And we should hear with faith. So it will be very effective. The hearing will be effective if we hear with faith. Now faith means, the Sanskrit word is Shraddha. Shraddha is exactly defined by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. Shraddha shabde vishwasa kahe. Vishwasa. Shraddha means vishwasa. Trust. Sudrida nishchaya. What kind of trust? Unflinching trust. Sudrida nishchaya. It is very firm faith. And nishchaya, very definite. The object of faith is very, very definite and clear, perfectly clear. Krishna bhakti kaile sarva karma krita hoy. When you perform devotional service to Krishna, then all your endeavors, sarva karma, krita hoy, will become perfect. Because whatever we do, we are seeking some formula for success in all our activities. Otherwise, why should we do anything? If simply the activity we do results in failure, we will not be inclined to do anything. So the impetus for doing something and to do it nicely is success in such endeavors. So, everyone is wanting success, then they will do it nicely if they are assured. So, here is the assurance. Krishna bhakti kaile sarva karma kruta hai. Guaranteed, 100% guarantee of success. In all activities, all endeavors, sarva karma krita hai. By Krishna bhakti, performing devotional service to Krishna. And to ensure this success, the quality of this devotional service is Vishwasa, Sudrida Nishchaya Vishwasa. Firm faith and definite faith in Krishna, in devotional service. And that we can see good examples in the Bhagavatam. Dhruva Maharaj, he had firm faith in the words of Nārada. And he was very, very fixed up in following the instructions of Nārada. Very quickly he attained success. Very quickly he attained success. And he was fully fired up. He did not spend too much time. 6 months he was able to actually come to the perfect stage of his practice. So, even Vidura, he made inquiries from Maitreya and he became perfectly fixed up in devotion to Krishna. So much so that he just went and spoke to Dhritarashtra, his brother, elder brother, and delivered him, even though Dhritarashtra was in such a bad condition, lamenting his son's loss, and he himself was completely a failure. And he had plotted to kill the Pandavas, which became exposed. Many times it was exposed. Still, he was leading a frustrated life, this Dhritarashtra. But Vidura came to Dhritarashtra and spoke very strong words, shook him up. And immediately Dhritarashtra left the palace where he was trying to console himself, pacify his mind. After severe loss, he lost all his sons, 100 sons, in the battle of Kurukshetra. He had big dream. My sons will rule the world. big dream he had. It was completely shattered. So he was a very, very frustrated person. But the divine touch of Vidura towards the end of his life, and his whole life changed, completely changed. He became liberated. So the devotion of Vidura is Sudrida Nishchaya Vishwas Krishna Bhakti. That is the quality of his devotional service to Krishna. So before traveling and preaching, Vidura is himself practicing. Vidura is actually a pure devotee. He doesn't need to practice. But still, to set an example for us, he is hearing from Maitreya, making inquiries. Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. In the life of Vidura, we can see how he is making inquiries, how he is hearing very, very nicely, and he is serving Maitreya. He is rendering service to pure devotee, and he is hearing very nicely till he became convinced, completely convinced. Krishna is the ultimate goal of life. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna is the ultimate truth. So then straight away went to deliver Dhritarashtra. Went to deliver Dhritarashtra. And that also did not take much time. Very quickly, he didn't have much time left. Dhritarashtra did not have much time left. But Vidura delivered him. So Maitreya is assuring Vidura that your inquiry is befitting a devotee, because only devotees make inquiries about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Others make inquiries. All intelligent people make inquiries. But their inquiries are concerning something other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So those inquiries are ultimately not helpful for our self-realization. All other inquiries do not help us in achieving self-realization, which is the goal of the human form of life. And inquiries made by a devotee about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such inquiries are very, very helpful. They're relevant. They're important. So, because Vidura is a devotee, he is making inquiries about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the assurance given, today's verse, the 6th verse of this chapter, Maitreya is telling, by hearing these topics from the sage Nārada, just like you are hearing, Maitreya is telling Vidura, you are hearing from me. Same way, Dhruva, he heard these topics from the sage Nārada. He was enlightened regarding the personality of Godhead. And as a result of such enlightenment, what happened at the time of death? He placed his feet over the head of death personified. That means he did not care. get out of my way. I'm on my way back to Godhead. So he was fortunate. And Prabhupada says in the Purport, he left this world at an early age. How does Prabhupada say early age? 36,000 years he ruled. That's because Dhruva was living in Satya Yuga. Satya Yuga people used to live about 100,000 years. So out of 100,000 years, 36,000 years only he ruled. So young person. And he attained the kingdom of God directly going in the self-same body. This is very, very important to note. He did not have to change his body. So even the Pandavas, they didn't have to change their body. They went back to Godhead in the self-same body. So how does this work? Prabhupada says, in this material body nobody can go back to Godhead. Cannot go to Vaikuntha. Vaikuntha is the spiritual atmosphere. Spiritual atmosphere, which body is suitable? Spiritual body. And that spiritual body is already there inside this material body. That spiritual body is actually the form of the spirit soul. Spirit means spiritual by constitution, by nature. Spiritual by nature. We are all spiritual beings. And we have a spiritual form, we have spiritual senses, we have spiritual intelligence, we have spiritual mind, we have spiritual thinking, feeling, willing, everything we have. That is what we are. This body, this material body, subtle and gross body that we have now acquired is a temporary covering for the real you, real person inside this body. It's a temporary covering. So by practice of bhakti only by practice of bhakti, this material, gross and subtle body becomes spiritualized, Krishnaized. Prabhupada uses this word, Krishnaized. If you read the purport to the 8th verse of the 12th chapter, there Prabhupada says, a devotee of Krishna, by chanting Hare Krishna, he becomes Krishnaized, spiritualized. So this body can become spiritualized, and that way, in this very body, you can go back to Godhead. You don't have to change body. But other yoga systems, they have no method of spiritualizing the body. So if at all they want liberation from this material existence, then they have to completely give up this gross and subtle body. Now, gross body everyone gives up at the time of death. That is no big achievement. That's not difficult. That happens. Even we don't want to give up the body, gross body, we have to give it up at the time of death. But we cannot give up the subtle body. Ordinarily, we cannot give up the subtle body. This subtle body is the cause for our accepting the next gross body. This is called transmigration of the soul. This is nicely explained in the Bhagavad Gita. But if somebody practices yoga system as described in the scriptures, other than bhakti yoga, the other yoga systems helps a yoga practitioner to completely give up the subtle body at death. Give up the subtle body also at death and then become liberated. But giving up the subtle body and the gross body, if one is not prepared to enter the kingdom of God, then the liberation is not a permanent attainment. It's not permanent liberation that they get. They get temporary liberation. They get temporary liberation. So, temporary liberation means they are able to give up the subtle body also. But what about their existence when there is no gross body, no subtle body, and they are not admitted into the personal abode of the Supreme Lord because they are non-devotees, they are not devotees yet? Then what? Where will they go? What will they do? How will they exist? This only the devotees know about this secret. Spiritual existence, permanent spiritual existence is only possible in the personal abode of the Supreme Lord. Nowhere else there is permanent spiritual existence. Nowhere else. Only in the abode of the Lord. And such permanent spiritual existence is possible for those who have completely awakened and activated their personal spiritual form. And that is possible only by practicing bhakti yoga. Only by bhakti yoga you can activate your personal spiritual form. Even before you quit this body, even while the stage of practice, sadhana bhakti, practice is called sadhana bhakti. The sadhana bhakti is so nice that even in the stage of practice, you can fully awaken, activate your personal spiritual form. And in that spiritually awakened state, you can be fully engaged in devotional service even in this body. And this is described by Srila Rupa Goswami as Jivan Mukta. Jivan Mukta. This is only possible for a devotee. Nobody else can actually attain this state. Even before quitting the body, Jivan Mukta. Iha yasya harer dasye karmana manasa gira nikhilaswapi avasthasu jivan muktasya uchyate. Iha means in this world, in this life. That person who with his mind, body and words is fully engaged always in pure devotional service to Krishna. Harer dasye, perfectly situated as the servant, means engaged in pure devotional service to Hari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Harer dasye karmana manasa gira. By his activities in this world, I am talking of activities in this world. Manasa, by his mind, and Gira by his words. Bhagavad Gita explains we can perform any action either through the body or through the words or through the mind. So, through all these three agents of performing activity in this world, if someone is simply engaged in Harer Dasye, pure devotional service to Hari, to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, through body, mind, words, always. Nikhilaswapi avasthasu, in all conditions, in all times, at all times, in all conditions. Such a person is Jivan Mukta Sauchate. He is fully liberated. He is fully liberated because his spiritual form, spiritual body, spiritual senses, spiritual existence is fully awakened, enlightened, developed. He is already perfect. And therefore, when we study or read or hear Prabhupada's life or the biography of pure devotees, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's biography, then you understand from this description of Srila Rupa Goswami that such devotees, they are already liberated. They are fully active spiritually even in this material body. They are already perfect. Already perfect. Nitya Siddha. Nitya Siddha. So, for the sake of preaching to ordinary people who don't understand anything about spiritual life, such Nitya Siddha devotees, they come from the spiritual world and even though they are fully liberated, they accept a material body. Lord never accepts a material body, even when he comes to this world, incarnates in this world. Krishna, Rama, Varaha, Narasimha, they never accept a material body. But Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, they accept a material body. But that material body, they engage it fully in Krishna's service only. No tinge of even a little sense gratification. What do? We take birth in this world, we accept a material body and engage that material body in sense gratification. That's our business. And pure devotee, what is the pure devotee's business? They simply engage even their material body, material mind, material intelligence, material ego, everything they engage simply in Krishna's service. That's why it is significant if you read Prabhupada's biography. Even as a small child, he was performing Ratha Yatra. So it looked like he's playing and imitating. But it is not imitation, it is not playing. It is very, very serious activity of devotional service. Carefully read the biography. You will understand how it was a very, very serious engagement for the pure devotee, even as a small child. Parikshit Maharaj used to play with dolls of Krishna. It's not play. He is actually worshipping Krishna, even as a small child. Nitya Siddha. These are all perfect devotees. So many examples. Prahlad Maharaj, in the womb of his mother, what is he doing? He is hearing Narad Muni, who apparently is instructing Dhruva's mother. Prahlad's mother. Narad Muni is instructing Prahlad's mother. But actually, people cannot make out externally when they see that Nārada is actually instructing not only Prahlad's mother, of course, he was instructing her, giving her assurance of safety, because she was being carried away by Indra and the other demigods, the associates of Indra. They thought that the seed of that demon Hiranyakashipu is in the womb of this Hiranyakashipu's wife, Prahlad's mother. Prahlad was in the womb that time. So they thought, oh, here's another demon. So when Hiranyakashipu went away to do tapasya, they thought this is the opportunity to take her away and actually wait for the child to be born, because they are divine natured. Carefully study 16th chapter, difference between divine nature and demoniac nature. Divine nature people, even though sometimes they may seem to act in a violent way. So even when she was protesting, why are you taking me away? I am a pregnant woman. I am a woman, first of all. You should not harm a woman. Not only that, you are taking me away from my own home or palace or place. What are you going to do with me? She was very afraid. She was crying. And Narad Muni intercepted Indra taking her away and said, what are you doing with this lady, this woman? Why are you harassing her like this? Then Indra said, we don't want to give her any trouble or harass her. We are interested in that seed of Hiranyakashipu, the big demon that is in her womb. As soon as this child is born, we will kill that child and release her safely. We will not do any harm to her. So then Nārada told that the child inside her womb is actually a great devotee. Suddenly, Indra is shocked. He is a devotee. We were going to kill a devotee. So immediately Indra thought, oh, Nārada has saved us. So then, immediately Indra released her and then circumambulated her, begged forgiveness from her and paid obeisances to her. He is not only paying obeisances to her, but he was paying obeisances to Prahlad, the child in the womb. This is called divine nature. Divine nature. And demoniac nature, Kamsa. What did he do when Devaki was pregnant? Waiting for the child to come out. As soon as the child come out, kill the child, kill the child, kill the child. Innocent small child just born. Mercilessly killed. This is demoniac nature. Even though the prophecy was that the danger was from the 8th child. Devaki was crying and pleading to Kamsa, her own brother, that why are you killing these other children? But he would not, Kamsa would not have any consideration. Demoniac nature. Divine nature, as soon as Indra heard, oh, it's not a demon. Immediately released her. So, Prahlad, even in the womb of his mother, he was hearing Nārada. So such devotees don't have to change their body. Don't have to change their body. Because they are Nitya Siddha. Even if somebody is not Nitya Siddha, but by practice of pure devotional service under the guidance of a pure devotee, bona fide spiritual master, can change the body, can spiritualize the body. Change the body means spiritualize the body, gross and subtle body, and go back to God in the self-same body at the end of this life. And that is what is described by Srila Rupa Goswami, Jivan Mukta Sauchyate Iha Yasya Harer Dasye Karmana Manasagira. So, it is described here, Dhruva Maharaj, he did not care for death. Death was waiting. He stepped over the head of death and said, I don't care for you, and straight went back to Godhead in the self-same body. Even with the present body, with his present body, he boarded a spiritual airplane and went directly to the planet of Viṣṇu. Why? Because of his association with great sage Nārada, who had spoken to him the narration of the pastimes of the Lord. So this hearing about Krishna and hearing with inquisitiveness, the desire to know more, details. So many details are there in the Bhagavatam. So many details. 18,000 shlokas. So many details are there about the pastimes of the Lord. So many details. So we should be inquisitive to know the details more and more and more. Of course, even though it is said that Vidura, he stopped making inquiries when he was fully convinced, but actually a devotee never stops hearing about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He likes to hear more and more, and he continues to hear eternally. That's because after he perfects his hearing, he becomes fully self-realized. Then these topics are like nectar for his ears. This is described by Parikshit Maharaj in the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam in the beginning. Nivritta tarshai rupagiya manad bhavaushadhat shrotra manobhiramat. He is describing two categories of persons. What is the effect of hearing Krishna Katha? Those who are conditioned souls, if they are fortunate to hear properly from a pure devotee this Krishna Katha, then bhavaushadhat, this Krishna Katha will act as bhavaushadhi, it will act as the medicine for curing the disease called bhavaroga. But for those who are already liberated, they don't have infection of bhavaroga. So for them, it will not act as medicine because they don't require any medicine. The same Krishna Katha will be Shrotra Manobhiramat. It will be like nectar. It will be like nectar for them. Amrita. Krishna Kathamrita. Krishna Kathamrita. So they drink that nectar and relish every bit of it. And it simply acts as a elixir, life-giving elixir. It enriches their spiritual life more and more and more and more. Enlivens them, enriches their life. Makes them more enthusiastic to do more seva. So they don't stop hearing. So when it is said, Vidura, stop making inquiries, that is, no more doubts about who is Krishna, what is the goal of life. No more doubts. Then he has to actually act on the platform of that enlightened state. And that's why he straight went to Dhritarashtra. Straight went to Dhritarashtra. And spoke to Dhritarashtra. In the beginning of Bhagavatam it is said, what is the time? Time up. Last point. In the beginning of Bhagavatam it is said, Shukadeva Goswami, out of compassion for the conditioned souls who are suffering in this world, he spoke the Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavate. No, what is that? Yasvanubhavam akhila shruti saramekam adhyatma deepam atititirshatam tamoandham samsarinam. Shukadeva Goswami, out of compassion for the suffering souls of this world, samsarinam karunaya, out of compassion for them, aha, he spoke. What did he speak? Purana Guhyam, the most confidential Purana, the Bhagavata Purana, to deliver them from this material existence. Exactly what Vidura did. He went straight to Dhritarashtra and spoke, and Dhritarashtra became delivered. Finished. His material existence is finished. Same thing Shukadeva Goswami did. So I'll stop here. Any questions?
Maharaj, as you said, Lord never accepts material body. So, but we see that in Ramayana, from the Lord's body, blood is coming out. So, how to understand that Lord's body, blood is coming out? Just like while Yuddha Kanda also.
Krishna, when he was performing Bala Leela, used to go to the house of the elderly gopis, neighboring houses, and he would steal butter. And when his plan to steal butter was spoiled, frustrated, unsuccessful, then he'll go and pinch the children, he'll pass urine on the clean floor. So Krishna is passing urine. Krishna doesn't have a material body. Bhishma is shooting arrows at Arjuna and Krishna is protecting Arjuna. So it is hitting Krishna's body and blood is coming out. Krishna's body, blood is coming out. So Krishna appears in his spiritual form, but it looks like a material form, and sometimes it behaves like a material form. Sometimes, not always. Because there are times when it behaves like a extraordinary spiritual form. Krishna sucked out the life air of Putana, an infant, 10 days old infant, sucking out the life air, prana. Well, apparently she is trying to feed poisoned milk to kill the child. She herself got killed. So material body cannot do that. So it is a spiritual form. Similarly, Krishna's all pastimes, whether with the devotees or with the demons or independently, whatever he does, as Mahavishnu is lying down, his pastime, he is breathing out universes. So that is a spiritual form. And those activities are all spiritual, completely spiritual. No material activities, no material form, no urine, no blood, no bones, no flesh, no aging, no disease. Shastra describes, Krishna once had a headache. अरे भगवान को भी सर दर्द होता है, भगवान है ना. So that's called Leela, Krishna Leela. It is simultaneously very pleasing for the devotees to hear such pastimes. For the demons it is confusing. Sometimes demons become very, very arrogant and proud. That these devotees keep telling that Bhagavan is perfect. He has no disease, and if we go back to him, we'll also not have any disease. देखो, आपका ही शास्त्र में बोला है, भगवान को सर दर्द हुआ. So then devotees are like, sometimes devotees themselves get confused. Why Bhagavan gets headache? So that's called Krishna Leela. It is transcendental pastimes of the Lord. So carefully we have to practice bhakti to understand what is the difference between spiritual activity and material activity. What is the difference between spiritual existence and material existence? Carefully we should understand. In simple words we can say spiritual life means no disease, no old age, no death, no birth, no threefold miseries, tapatrayon, unmoolanam, all that we can understand in a very simple, concise way. But that is just the beginning of our understanding. You have to go deeper, especially when you have to face these atheists or you have to preach to these hardcore materialists. Then you have to go a little deeper than just knowing this much. What is this? No disease, no death, no birth. What is the meaning of that? How does it work in the material world? How does it work? So you study the life of not only the descriptions in the Bhagavatam of the Supreme Lord and His pure devotees, but also you study the biography of Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Study that very carefully. There are so many secrets revealed about the spiritual existence, even in this material world. How they are liberated. How they are liberated. Prabhupada had heart attack on board the Jaladuta 2 times. But Prabhupada himself tells this. I thought I had some pain, chest pain. Later on I came to know it was a heart attack. When did he come to know? When 3rd time he had a heart attack. And he at that time got also paralysis, paralytic stroke. Heart attack plus paralytic stroke, 1967. So then the devotees were there, his initial disciples, and they very much were concerned and they admitted him to one Beth Israel hospital. And then the doctors could not make out. They knew that, they diagnosed he had paralysis, but they could not determine what is the cause. They could not determine the cause. They were giving some treatment. Prabhupada said, get me out of this place. These doctors don't know anything. It is a fact. The doctors did not know what to do. Something they were doing, some treatment. So then doctor said, it's not safe to take him away. Devotees tried to convince the doctors. And then Prabhupada said, just take me away, that's all. Even the doctors don't advise you. Just take me away. So, Prabhupada then directed the devotees what to do and fully got cured. And how was Prabhupada actually able to even direct the devotees what to do? Actually, Prabhupada is not at all on the bodily platform. Because the material body behaves according to certain laws. So it is like you are wearing one dress, you know very well you are not the dress. Even though it may be a new shirt, sometimes it gets torn. So if it is old and worn out, you will simply replace the dress. It's a new shirt, it gets little torn. You'll say, okay, theek hai, silai kar do. Repair it. I'll continue to use because still it is new, it's not old. So like that, Prabhupada, exactly like that, he knows he is not the body, this material body. It is for a purpose. To convince we who are conditioned by material body, to convince us that you can do devotional service even in this material body. And even under such circumstances, when you do devotional service, then you transcend in your consciousness. And on the spiritual platform, you can do devotional service under all circumstances. And meantime, Krishna will take care of your bodily maintenance without your having to really worry too much. How will this body be repaired? Before death comes, if something happens to the body, it has to be repaired for it to continue working. So we will go to some doctor, take some treatment. That is by the way. But really speaking, for a devotee, he doesn't have faith. Doctors can cure always. The devotee's faith is Krishna is Paramatma is in my heart. Even when I am healthy, he is the one who is making this body work. Krishna says this in the Bhagavad Gita. I am digesting the food that you eat every time. It is digested. And even if we sometimes overeat and some indigestion is there, Krishna only will set right that indigestion. So this is the understanding of the devotees of this working of this body. It's inconceivable how this body works. Scientists have some partial understanding. They don't have full understanding. Full understanding the devotees have how this body works. So you study carefully Prabhupada's life, Prabhupada's biography, Prabhupada's own words about himself, and then you will understand what is the miracle in a devotee's life that is happening every moment. Sometimes people ask, आपने कोई miracle experience किया है आपके life में? I said, every moment devotee's life is full of miracles. Every moment it is full of miracles. How are we doing devotional service itself? How did we begin devotional service? It is a miracle, no? It's a miracle. Some advanced devotee sits and hears Bhagavatam class 45 minutes, no problem for him. He has got taste for it, he's got attraction for it, that's his only business, devotional service. So he hears. How are we sitting and hearing 45 minutes? Materialists are all completely amazed. 1 minute you call some hardcore materialist who doesn't know what is Bhagavatam, never interested in God, make him sit, please sit, at least 5 minutes बैठिए. Impossible for him to sit. So restless he becomes. It happens in HK Hill, Hare Krishna Hill. Somebody has come to have darshan. Oh, बहुत अच्छा मंदिर है. And then after darshanarti is over, Guru Puja is over, all the devotees come down. कहाँ जाने सब? कहाँ जाने? वो भागवत प्रवचन है. अच्छा, भागवत प्रवचन है. तो हम भी आ सकते हैं? आइए आइए. He'll come, he'll sit. Jayarala Madhava is going on Kirtan. Okay. Afterwards, class starts. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Start looking at the watch. How much time will this go on? And then, after all the recitation is over, he thinks class is over. But then the speaker starts actually speaking. And then another half an hour at least he is going to speak. Every minute he is looking at the watch, looking here, looking there, everything. Then if I am giving class, I notice that. Because all the devotees are facing me. They can't make out so much. So I am seeing this person is come. He is getting completely restless. He has never attended a bhagavatam class like we give. Poor fellow, he is trapped here. He doesn't know what to do. This is a fact, no? It's a miracle, no? We are all sitting and nicely hearing. That is only because of Krishna making it happen. Krishna is making it happen. So, answering your question, completing the answer to your question, Krishna appears to be Manushim Tanumashritam, human-like form. He appears. Varaha appears in a boar-like form. Boar-like form. It is completely spiritual. Completely spiritual. Worshipable. Now with Varaha Murti, they have to make a deity of Varaha. The sculptor will make a boar-like form. He makes a boar-like form because there is no boar form of the Lord. Boar-like form. It looks like a boar. It is completely spiritual. Completely spiritual. No activities of the boar. All are transcendental activities the Lord performs in His boar form. Transcendental activities. So that we have to study, we have to hear. Okay, I'll stop here. Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.